Well, it's been over a week now since we've seen the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection featured at the Tokyo Game Show. The dust has had time to settle, and I know I'm a bit late getting this out, but I may as well give my thoughts on what was presented, as well as my predictions for what may be in store in the future. Let me start with the biggest takeaway from this presentation. Online multiplayer is confirmed. Presented by Masakazu Eguchi, Mr. Famous himself, he revealed that there will be online net battling and chip trading for all 10 games in the collection. Another interview apart from the presentation also stated that there will be other bonus features outside the ones showcased. Whether or not this means boss rushes, tag team style boss battles, or some sort of unified PvP where you can mix and match souls, crosses, styles, or chips from other games, or something similar to that all remains to be seen. Battle Network is such a different beast than the other Mega Man titles that they definitely had to break formula with this collection, and it's hard to predict anything that will be unique about it specifically. That brings us to the next point I'd like to talk about. AI companion Megaman.exe, voiced by Andrew Francis. I think this is most likely the role reprisal he was talking about in that cameo teaser that he gave. I say most likely instead of definitely because in the cameo video he specifically said for a cartoon.
They actually may or may not be making a Megaman.exe cartoon, and they may or may not asked a certain voice actor to reprise his role.
I would say that this only counts as a cartoon in the absolute loosest possible definition of the word. I mean, it's animated, and as far as I can tell, you don't really control him, so does this really count? It could be possible that he lied as a way of giving that one fan a teaser, but also covering himself in case of a non-disclosure agreement violation. I'm not holding my breath on anything new concerning cartoons or anime, but I would still love to see it. This was still a very welcome surprise. Andrew Francis is a voice actor who's been close to my heart ever since I was a kid. Funnily enough, it actually wasn't for his role as Mega Man EXE, since I didn't really watch Mega Man NT Warrior a lot when I was growing up. It actually was for his role as Ford Romfellow from Gundam Encounters in Space. Still one of my favorite games to this date, but I'm getting off topic. I've heard a handful of people say that they don't like Andrew's voice and prefer the Japanese voice, and those people are in luck. According to more than one source that I've found, you can apparently switch between the Japanese and English versions, so if you don't like Mega Man's English voice, you can listen to the Japanese Rockman voice instead. I don't really have much to comment on as far as the gameplay was concerned. They only really showed us footage of Battle Networks 1 through 4, and even then, not much past the first scenario in each game. I still have questions concerning Boktai and whether or not its content will be included. If we had gotten some snippets from EXE 5 or 6, we could have seen whether or not Lance still has the posters of Boktai characters in his bedroom, and that could have given us an answer. It's also been reported that these games are not merely emulations, but are in fact source ports of the games adapted to work on the current gen hardware. This likely means that there will be some bug fixes, like the potential softlock issue from the Japanese version of EXE 5, and the very buggy Woodman scenario from Battle Network 4 will also likely be fixed. And we're probably going to see some more accurate translations, hopefully fixing the handful of grammar errors from the first 3 games as well as the several that were in Battle Network 4 and 5. I mean, this is more or less confirmed in the interview where Eguchi states that the source ports were necessary for the modern hardware, and that translating over 7,500 pages of script into multiple languages is very time-consuming. This means that we may also have access to the Japanese exclusive content, such as Graveyard Area 1, and additional BBS requests in Battle Network 6. We've also gotten confirmation that the title screens have been recreated using higher res assets, and that the panic music will be disabled in Battle Network 6 after beating the final boss. Let's hope that they fix that for BN4 as well. As much as I'm willing to stick my neck out for BN4, that is one thing that was just a bad design choice. Currently, there's no confirmation or denial of whether or not the Legacy Collection will include the event-exclusive battle chips. The only hint we have comes from Berserk Boy Game, who reportedly played the demo for EXE3 at TGS and was able to download the chips for Punk and Bass into his folder via the Navi Customizer screen, but we don't know if that was just for the demo or if it'll be in the final version. That said, I am curious to see if the feature from the Virtual Console that allowed you to get the opposite version exclusive chips will be kept, since I've heard some interpretations of it not being compatible with other versions means that you can't trade or PvP with other versions of the same game. Battle Network 4 Blue Moon couldn't trade to Battle Network 4 Red Sun, etc. I honestly just thought that meant that it wasn't cross-platform compatible. Like, if your friend has it for PS4, you have it for Switch, you can't link up. I guess we'll find out if trading between versions is possible later. However, since this is a source port and not directly emulating the original game ROM with a new patch, this does mean that the Boktai content may actually end up being removed after all. It does play something of a pivotal role in Battle Network 4, and it will be interesting to see whether or not it remains. Needless to say, the second this game is released, that's what I'll be checking. Battle Network 5 and 6 to see if Land still has those posters, and Battle Network 4 to see how the story plays out and if the Boktai content was still included. Now, let's talk online play. On several of my videos, I've been getting comments of people talking about the N1 Grand Prix, which is the online Battle Network community that plays over emulators over the internet. I honestly think that it's because of fans like these that the development team went to the extra effort to include the online functionality in the first place. But I have some concerns for this branch of the community. Since online multiplayer will be available through officially licensed hardware, is there possibly a danger that a cease and desist could be issued to the users and creator of this online emulator? This is one of those sticky topics where the license holders are well within their rights to do so, but the fans of this series put an unfathomable amount of effort into making emulators that are compatible over the internet. I know little to nothing about coding and programming, but even I can recognize that that could not have been easy. And a C&D honestly will come across as just disrespectful to the fanbase. I don't think Capcom would do this. I mean, we're not dealing with Nintendo after all. But they did recently shut down that Phantom of the Network remake. But either way, online play and trade is a gigantic net positive for the community as a whole. I've heard countless comments here on YouTube, as well as over Facebook, Reddit, and Twitter, all saying things like, if there's no online multiplayer, then I'm just going to emulate. And I think that's a fair assessment. But they came through for us, and we're finally going to be able to fulfill our dreams of having true net battles with other people across the world on every version of the original Game Boy Advance games. The only thing that can make this any better is if they brought back the battle chip gates and made them compatible with online play, but that's just being greedy at this point. The only real piece of new info, or more accurately speculation, that I can offer is a possible time frame for a release. While we have nothing concrete, my first guess was late spring or early summer of 2020. Just pulling a time frame from nowhere, since this doesn't really strike me as a holiday release. My second, and what I thought was a more logical guess, was around February or March, since that's near the time when the Wii U eShop will be shutting down, and currently that's the last place you can legally purchase the game digitally. However, Mr. Eguchi stated that the translations and implementing online functionality were taking a long time, so I don't think that a release date in the first quarter of the year is a safe bet anymore. In addition to that, the date for E3 2023 was just announced recently. That's right, E3, one of the biggest multi-company video game showcases of the year. It will be held from June 13th to June 16th. Since I just got this information a day or two ago, I haven't done a lot of digging, but from the searches I have done, I haven't really seen anything about Capcom giving a big presentation, but the Battle Network Legacy Collection will be multi-platform, so perhaps Nintendo or PlayStation may showcase the complete version, and it may be available for either purchase or pre-order following the event. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think it's a possibility. Sorry I don't really have much else to say, but the majority of what was worth discussing has already been talked about by us and others, and most of it is openly available to view by the public. And that's what happens when you're late to the party, I guess. I'll drop some links below for you to check out. The interview with Mr. Famous, gameplay of the demos at TGS, clips of the Mega Man AI companion, and so on. The only thing that I can say for certain is this. Rockman EXE is back. The fans are the most hyped that I've seen them in over a decade. The development team has really shown that they still care about us and that they are still super passionate about this series, and they know that that means the world to us as fans. A great number of us were just expecting either some shovelware port, basically just the Wii U Virtual Console version in a new package, if we even got that, or for the individual games to just be dumped on the Nintendo Switch Online's GBA expansion that'll eventually come out. But the amount of effort that has gone into the porting, the translation, and the presentation, not only of the collection, but also at the events, it makes me think that there may be a bright future ahead for the Blue Bomber. If I'm not too much mistaken, a sizable number of people who worked on EXE also worked on Star Force and Legends, so maybe they'll be able to keep the passion burning and we'll see other collections in the near future. That is my greatest hope as a member of this wonderful community and fan base. So, what do all of you think? Are you still hyped for the collection? Are you more hyped or less hyped now? Do you think we'll see the full restoration of the original Japanese versions, or will there still be some content missing or altered? And what game are you going to play first when the collection is released? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.